Well, good morning and welcome to 3Cube's CRM Gym session. Today's topic we're going to go through is the main GoldMine layout and the fields which we have. So we'll go through all the different sections, including menus, toolbars, the contact record tabs through the middle, how to customize the taskbar, the F2 lookups. So much power behind GoldMine's ability to standardize the data that's entered into fields, and we'll go through some of the options there. Field tab order. Often we get questions about how to actually set the actual tab order, so it makes it nice and easy to update data. So we'll go through that, and depending on some time, we'll go through other bits and pieces which might be really cool as well. So basically, if I go through this, we actually have our main, and I'll just hide this as well. We actually have our main GoldMine. Thank you. Okay, the main GoldMine drop-down menus. Okay, so these are all available to us, and they all can be controlled. So we can actually hide different options in these menus. So if we don't want them to have access to the SQL query, we don't want them to have access to the lookup wizard, user settings, user groups, all those bits and pieces. We can actually hide each one of those in the user settings section. Okay, so and it basically, once it's hidden, it gives you no access to any of that sort of area. So if we were to lock out, for instance, scheduling a call, that means when you go down to your schedule call button here, you wouldn't be able to schedule a call. It would be totally blocked out, totally hidden. So it basically gives you a lot of control over how GoldMine works. Other areas we use a lot of is the removing the delete contact option. Okay, or we might use remove the under tools. We might remove the data management delete records option, because we don't want people to be able to mass delete records. So we might remove that option from absolutely everyone other than a master user, and we might actually give the deleting a contact option available to certain users, so that certain users can control data. Personally, I'm not a big fan of deleting records. I much prefer to flag them as inactive, because you just never know when they're going to come back. So that's typically how I would normally work. If you're interested in how to do that, to change it and set these menu items and remove items, you effectively just go to user settings, assuming of course that you have master rights. So user settings. I'll then go, for instance, to Anthony Veal, double click on his record, it comes up with this section here, and then choose the menu for the menu items. And in here, I have all the different options where we can actually control what actually gets displayed. So here, if I wanted Anthony to not have delete contact rights, I would select that, click OK, and now Anthony, next time he logs in, will not be able to delete any records in the database, any contact records. He'll still be able to delete his history and pending, an email, but he wouldn't be able to delete out an entire customer record. And hey, look, that's really good, exactly what you want typically. Okay, so there's menus. We also have our toolbars. Now, our toolbars changed considerably from the corporate edition to premium edition, and it gave us some nice options. But one thing it didn't have was like synchronizing with Outlook, or synchronizing to a GoldMine server, for instance, or other items that you might actually want to make life easy. So how do I add this extra button here? Okay, well, it's quite easy. I select on my toolbar options, and I have my add and remove buttons. Now, if I go straight to the standard, I have a whole lot of different items which I can choose out of the box as standard items to select from. Now, I don't normally use the get mail, and I don't normally use my email section here, because if I wanted to get to my email center, I'd actually go to my email center on my taskbar, which is down the left-hand side here. So I wouldn't actually normally, I'll maximize that, I wouldn't normally edit or have to have that displayed as a toolbar. I might prefer to actually have something like SQL queries, where I can dissect and slice and dice the data nice and clearly. I'll also might want to select filters or groups, because it's nice and handy. Now, I don't dial, so you can get the picture where you can actually control a lot of these options quite simply by selecting here. But you know what, that's great, but what if I wanted to add something that's not in this list? How do I do so? Well, I could customize. Okay, within customize, I now can have to choose the commands option. And from here, you'll see the file, edit, go to, tools, file, edit, go to, tools, all looks fairly familiar. So if I wanted to click onto the, let's say, tools option, and from here I wanted to add my one button sync with GoldSync server, I select that, drag it up to where I want to put it. I'll put it over here, let go, and there's my button. Okay, I can do the same thing with go to. If I wanted to have a button to go to, let's have a look, a leads analysis. Select that, plug it where I place it where I want it, let go, and hey presto, I have that button. So just close that now, and now I have my leads analysis section, which will automatically open up for me. And it would also do the one button sync with GoldSync server, but I don't have a profile, so it won't sync. But you get the picture that you can add all sorts of different buttons to your toolbar to customize it to how you want to work and how you can find things very quickly and easily. Really powerful, nice, easy way of doing that, which is terrific. So it's as easy as just clicking the button here. Nice and simple. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that one. Okay, contact record tabs. Now, I've purposely displayed every single contact record tab that's available to us in GoldMine. But I just wanted to go through what each of these sections mean and how much value they can offer to your business, because again, you don't always know how flexible these things are. Now, in this particular record, I actually have a relationships tab. Now, in this case, the relationships tab is linking all the different contacts that work in the company called Tactful Solutions. So here, if I select on the sales, for instance, I have different people that actually work in this organisation. So if I just double click on company, for instance, you'll see we actually have two Tactful Solutions records. Okay, so we have the marketing manager and the general manager here. So I could actually build a whole new org chart. So let's actually do that. Let's just delete this one and create a new organisational chart, relationships chart. So very quickly, I'm just going to right click. The old GoldMine, second rule in GoldMine is if in doubt, right click. So right click, create new organisation, create relationship tree based on the Tactful Solutions, which is terrific. Select OK, and there's automatically added my new record. Okay, I can then very easily add another employee. Right click, look up existing contact, choose Scott, and now I have another person listed here. Okay, I can also create subfolders here. If I want a subfolder under employees, I can go new section, make it IT, remove the link, click OK, and then drag Scott's record down into the actual section here. So now I have a bit of a display of how these different people work or what departments they're in, so I can actually see who's who in the zoo of this large organisation. Really ideal for Australia. You've got large organisations, BHP or other mines, or banks or other organisations where you've got large numbers of people. So it can work really, really effectively for you. Okay. The other thing you can actually use this for is to track links to other organisations. So let's say you wanted to link that Tactful Solutions might actually work or work with, let's say, clients. So I've created a subfolder here under Tactful Solutions for clients. Now I might want to go and add, new contact, XY mapping, I'll add Neil. So here I can now see that Neil is a client of Tactful Solutions. And whenever I go to Neil's record, it actually bring up the Tactful Solutions book here. And if I go back to Scott, for instance, here, I can actually see that I might go on Scott's records. Within Tactful Solutions, I have the clients, and under clients, I have Neil Wright. If I click on Neil Wright, it'll actually display his record. So a very flexible and organic way of being able to link records together. Rather difficult to report on, or rather difficult to sort of really standardise, but it is ideal from a very flexible manner of being able to do, for salespeople to be able to build whatever sort of links and relationships they might want to build. Fields tab. So in the Fields tab, we have the ability to actually display multiple different fields or additional fields. If you right click, there's also other ways you can actually display other fields within the actual product. Okay, so that can work really well for you too. And a great way of being able to just group like fields together. Okay, so I'll add back the postal address. One quick thing which I won't go through today in too much detail, but if I wanted to mimic this address, let's say it's Prospect Street. Let's say I wanted to mimic this. Oh, there's nothing else to go through. I've just updated the address. The contact type was Prospect. And what it's actually saying here is, attention, address changes should be made to the account record and replicated to contacts. So it's basically saying that we shouldn't be updating the address field at this point. Now, we can build these little notifications to suit all sorts of different reasons. So if you have something that's happened where people are entering the wrong value into a particular field regularly, you might want a little message pop up, an alert to pop up like that and say, hey, look guys, make sure you do this next. You might actually have it that when they update a field to this type of client, that they also need to schedule a forecasted sale or to close the forecasted sales. Then you might want an alert to pop up and say, hey guys, hey, remember to do this activity. So it's based on the lookup any functionality of GoldMine, but a really nice way of being able to flag and help ensure that the accuracy and consistency of your data is paramount. So really nice for system administrators. So that's just by updating a field, it'll automatically trigger that alert. Really cool. The other thing I wanted to show you is Underused Delivery. If I just wanted to select this, which is going to grab this address and place it down here. So just select yes, click off it, and then presto, it'll actually put the same address that was up here into the postal address fields. Okay, so we normally would put the actual street address fields up here in the main record. That's typically because synchronizations to your contacts to Outlook or to your smartphone will grab that address. That address then will work really nicely with your GPSs, etc. that might be working on your phone. So you don't want your postal address in there. So we've added postal addresses down the bottom. Means that mailing out is a little bit more harder to do, but there's always typically a pro and con with databases, so it's one option they can do. It does save a lot of data entry in this particular instance, and again, that's just using the lookup any functionality of GoldMine. It's a little bit of programming, a little bit of configuration, but really improves the accuracy of your data, which means you can rely on it for marketing. If you can rely on it for marketing, hopefully it'll generate extra sales. That's exactly what we want. Okay. So that's what the Fields tab's about. Additional contacts, obviously where we can choose additional people that might work in the organisation. So if I want to add someone else that might work at XY mapping, I can put in John Smith. I can choose his title from our list. I can choose a reference if I wanted to, or leave it blank. I might just leave it blank for now. Type in his email address. That's XY mapping. .com.au. Okay, put in the phone number, put his mobile. I typically put the mobile, I know there's a mobile option here, but I always typically put the mobile phone up here as a personal choice, and the reason for that is it actually gets displayed here. So that's a personal choice that I work with here. Great way of doing that and be able to see all the different people that work in this organisation. Different way of using it compared to the relationships chart if you have more than one person within XY mapping. I won't go through the details, but there are significant details, and there's pros and cons with both. Notes, great way of being able to add additional notes to a client. There's a flat white coffee. Business is, and put something in about that. That way, again, later on when you're on holidays or someone takes a call and you're away, then someone else can have a look at what does this business do, and they can get a bit of an idea of that, so they know how to relate to it. They know what industry they're in, they know what sort of hot buttons are this client's going to have, so they know how to build rapport and empathy with this client. So an important way, and it's not for date and time specific information, it's for big picture information. So it's a powerful tool. Processes, again, great way of being able to see what automatic processes are linked to this record. Most of the time not really required, but if you are using automatic processes, a wonderful way of trying to keep track of where something's up to for individual clients, so ideal. Pending history, you need to look at those together, where you have the history, which is things that have been completed, and pending, which are things which haven't been completed. Pretty obvious, and something which would be ideal. Opportunities. Opportunity is your ability to track your opportunities, and this gives you a list of all the opportunities for this client. So again, probably a tab you want to keep. Links. Links tab is a great way of being able to link multiple files or additional files to a client record. So if I right click and go new, I could easily just select a particular file. Let's just go back a step. GoldMine, no, wrong one. Go back to GoldMine user group. Let's just choose the any file for now. I can choose it to be a questionnaire or proposal, something similar, for instance. Select OK. That will now display, and then all I have to do is actually double click to open it up, and it actually will open up the record, that document for me. So a really ideal way for having a store of proposals and other bits and pieces that you might want to keep track of to make it easy so everyone knows where something is. Events, and that was something we actually created ourselves, so it's an ability to track what seminars and events people have gone to, quite something else we've organised for another client. Bit of a long story, but I'll go through it another day, another session. Details tab, more of an ability to link information about the client. Typically, it's a one-to-many relationship, so it can be quite a powerful tool. Again, ideal for things like events where you might have someone who comes to an event more than once, so it would be ideal. We have the ability to track email and websites out of the box, so typically that can be hidden. GM Plus View, this is a really powerful tab which allows you to actually display web information or its HTML information. Now that could be information about the client, so it could actually be displaying the client's website, but it also could be displaying a link to Google Maps, which would be looking up the address fields and passing a Google Map reference back into a GM Plus View tab for viewing. It could be looking at the company name and doing a ABN search based on the company name, which could be handy for financial planners. It could be used for viewing data from one of your existing databases, e.g. a accounting application. So you might want to build a web page of information from your accounting application, which would show invoices and orders and those sorts of things. And it would actually typically look at based on an ID field or ID number from that accounting application, or maybe by the company name. Probably more likely to be a unique identifying number, but a nice way of being able to display invoice details to your salespeople without having to actually pay for expensive licenses of your accounting application. So all they need to be able to see is what's been sold. A great way of being able to do that. Members tab shows you what members or what groups this particular record is a member of. So you have contact groups. Remember, contact groups are a bit like a bucket where you have to add and remove people from these. So here I can see we have a group called Front Range Prospect Marketing. Here we have 35 members of it, and the fact that XY Mapping on Neil Wright is a member of that particular group. Of course, I can add to new groups, or I can also remove from that group as well. Same thing here, I can actually click on add to a contact group as well. Let's just choose Christmas cards. It's just a little bit newer than that. I'll just refresh that tab. And then we have, there's 2 members in this particular group. Summary tab. Actually, sorry, this members tab can really handy from a marketing point of view. So if you wanted to say, if you're a marketing person, you wanted to say to your sales guys, hey, look, what I want you to do is build a list of people you would like to invite to this particular event. It might be a races, you go to the races, it might be a training session, but go through and find your existing customers and list those you'd like to build or add to a group. Okay, so that's perfect where you can add them to a contact group. So something the sales guys can do individually themselves, which is ideal, and ideal also from ability to be able to track what members are, who's a member of it, and maybe remove them or add them if required. Okay, so that's a nice one. Summary tab comes out of the box, but there's a couple of nice things about this. A, it shows you when the record was created and who by. B, it shows you who actually last updated it and who by. Some other nice things about this is that you have the next action date. So the next pending item or activity in the pending tab, the next due one will be displayed here with a date. So I'll actually display the date in these sections here, which is quite nice. The trick here is just make sure your pending is up to date. So if you've got people who book in an appointment and don't complete it, and so the appointment's now a month old, that appointment date will actually be a month old, so not really ideal. But if you wanted to find everyone who's due to make a phone call in the next few days, then that can be a really handy thing. Also, last contact is ideal. So when did we last contact this person? Either via phone call, appointment, email, that sort of thing. Gives you a track record of how long it's been since you've actually spoken to someone. And while that information is in history, the idea that the fact it's actually listed here as a field means you can actually search on it. So you can actually search on a particular field in the Contact Search Center. And bring up a list of where it begins with or greater than a particular date range. Okay, nice way of being able to do that to find everyone we haven't contacted for a while. Referrals tab. So guys, this is an underutilized area in the database. Let's say we change the source field here to a referral. So where did XY mapping come from? Who actually referred us to this? Let's say Sidetrack referred us to this record. So I'm going to right click, new, I type in Sidetrack. This is asking me who actually referred them. I just type in Sidetrack. Okay, in this instance I'm going to use move this across the side. XY mapping was referred to 3Q by Sidetrack. So XY mapping referred to 3Q by Sidetrack, so like a triangle. And Sidetrack referred 3Q to XY mapping. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So a nice little easy way of doing this. Now the beauty of this is, click OK to that, and here we have XY mapping referred to 3Q by Sidetrack. If I double click on this, opens up the Sidetrack record, and then I actually have an ability to see that Sidetrack can refer these organisations to me and XY mapping. Double click again, it takes me back to the XY mapping record. A really nice way of being able to jump from one record to the other. Gives you some options for reporting. It's a lot more locked down in the Relationships tab, so it does give you more flexibility. Projects, pretty obvious as a project manager in GoldMine. I won't go through in too much detail, but this gives you the ability to see what open projects you have and also what projects have been completed for this particular client. And same thing with cases, which might be tracking incidents or issues that you, or complaints that you might have, or service requests that you might need to follow up on, or warranty issues, etc. that you might need to follow up on. A great way of being able to track those by customer or by relationship. In other words, if you're a part of this particular resolution for this case, you might be linked to it too. But basically, it's a nice way of being able to see how many times this client has had issues, what the issues were, and whether they're resolved or not. So quite a powerful tool. At the end of the day, how do I tidy this up? Because not everyone's going to need all these items. So you'll notice there's this very small tab across here. If I select that, I have all of them selected here. If I hit Customise, I can now remove items that I might want to hide. So processes, events, quotes, details, Tune Plus View, members you might leave, summary, referrals I like, projects and cases. So I just select those. If I do have master rights, I can customize the tab labels globally if I wanted to. You can rename them, although I'm not too sure whether you really want to start getting into that too much. There's pros and cons of that, so you probably need to give us a call on 1300 3Cubed. But let's just leave that as is for now. Click OK. And now we're actually tied it up, so it's a lot cleaner, it's a lot neater. I feel like I'm in control again because now I can see the wood for the trees, and I feel like I'm in more control. If I want to add something, it's not hard to. I come over here, and these ones that were actually hidden, I can now just select and go Relationships, and it'll actually add that tab for me. It's a nice, easy way of doing that. Okay, so alright, so that's a nice, easy way of handling that. So what I want to do now is to go through this list in the taskbar. So again, as you might already know, you can actually increase the size of the taskbar as you go. What you also can do is this little button down here, which is select the navigation pane options and choose what you want to display. So I could have actually chosen all of these options. And as you can see, it fills up that screen fairly significantly. So I get to a little bit busy there as well. Okay, so what we can do is basically, okay, so what we can do here is remove items from this list to make it a little bit easier to go through and a little bit less clutter. So let me just do that now. Again, you put the option here, navigation pane options, and you remove the items that you don't want to see. Okay, so most people out of the box will choose contacts, activities, calendar, email, opportunities. The knowledge base is quite powerful, and dashboards are really powerful. Okay, so you also might have projects if you want to track the actual projects you have on at any one particular point in time. Mind you, the project manager is a good project communication manager. It's not the world's best project manager, but as far as a communication manager goes, it's really, really powerful. Campaigns is something that I don't use too much in GoldMine. I find that I can actually build my marketing information and my marketing processes easier within inside GoldMine directly as opposed to using the campaign manager. So it's not something that 3Q are a big fan of. We typically focus on the basics of GoldMine to utilize it from a marketing point of view, campaign point of view. Service, certainly something that's becoming more and more popular, is being able to track our service issues and making sure that we know where our issues are coming from and how do we actually can get around to resolving them. So an important part of the process. Leads, again, lead management, I don't use this too much. It's not something we really use. We prefer to use the basics in GoldMine as opposed to that. Knowledge base, a great way of being able to record standard items and standard information, and we use it to track resolutions. So if we come up with a clever idea of how to get around a particular issue, or it's a quirk in the system, or an incompatibility with another piece of software, we'll record that in our knowledge base, and that way if anyone has any issues in the future, they can search the knowledge base and actually for a keyword or for the application name and find the actual article about how to actually resolve this issue, and makes life a lot easier when you're looking for answers of basically to keep track and spread the knowledge across the organisation, not just within people's actual heads, I suppose. And dashboards, pretty obvious, great way of being able to see all the information inside GoldMine on a graphical point of view. Click that, makes it nice and easy, nice and simple, and away you go. This recently viewed list. Now this is something that's often out of the box will actually just display 5 items. And if you ever use this and use it a lot and you have a longer list, you'll know how powerful it is to be able to look at this list and just select a record here very quickly to actually bring up information. So a really powerful way of being able to do that. So how do we increase the number of this? Well, it's easy. On a per user basis, you select Tools, select Options, select System. Increase the recent items shown to 20. While you're here, other handy tip is to show Activity Code and History tab. I always like that one as well. That will make sure that naturally will allow that display to 20. Now, if it was 5, it won't automatically jump to 20. It will stay at 5. But as you go to other records in the system over time, it will start to fill out, and you eventually get to 20, and it'll just scroll through the top 20 as you're going through. Great way of being able to search and find people very, very quickly and easily. And once you've done that, it will stay to the 20 set, so it's just a once-off. All right. F2 lookups, guys. So hopefully everyone is using F2 lookups because it's a powerful way of being able to use GoldMine. So let's go through the F2 lookups inside GoldMine. Each field has a drop-down menu. Okay. Contact is probably a better example, where it's actually blank, which is nice. Department field. Now you'd expect to have a drop-down menu for the department field, which we do. But if I click on the actual title field, again, drop-down menu, which is great. But what if I wanted the title field to automatically pop when I actually select it? So let's just go Setup. Instead of autofill, I might want to have it that it pop up when selected. So by selecting that option here, which is Setup. Now, to do that, you actually do need to make sure that you actually have master rights. You click the Setup button. But now that I've done that, next time I click on that field, it will automatically pop that window. Okay, so you're not relying on the actual end user to remember to click on the arrow, to remember what to type. Okay, it automatically populates it, brings up this screen for you. Great way of making sure that your data is accurate. So what other options do we have in here though? Well, we have quite a few. Let's go through them because this is a very powerful way and it's really important, guys. I can't stress how important data accuracy is. It's very hard to do any marketing if your information is not accurate in the first place. So what have we got? Allow blank input. That can be handy just from if I don't know what to put in there, I need to be able to click off this field so it leaves a blank value. If otherwise it can get to the point where people are just using the other or not applicable options that you might have because they don't know what else to put. So I typically do leave allow blank input because it does mean that I can identify which records we actually haven't updated at all. I think it's the easiest way around. Force valid input. This is a great option because it basically means that they have to choose one of these values. Now for the title field, that may not be quite a useful item. But if we were in the contact type field, for instance, then that force valid input will be a very, very handy value because you don't want people entering different information over time. You actually want it to be a fixed value. Insert closest match just means they save some time as they're typing in the value instead of clicking it. So if I didn't have the pop-up when selected option turned on, insert closest value, so let's just choose that now. Just click off that. As I start to type, it automatically has the option come up, and I can just choose custom up from there. Hey presto, I'm done. So a nice way of ensuring again that it's quicker and easier to enter information. So that's the four-side input in conjunction with insert closest match. Capitalize first letter. Well, if you're inserting closest match, then it's not really a biggie. But if they are typing something in manually, maybe the title field, then capitalizing first letter ensures that it does look nice and neat. The value they're entering is nice and neat. Pop when selected, we've already gone through. List existing data. Now, this one can be really helpful. Let's just turn these off and list existing data. So instead of having, if you click the list, this over, you'll notice we have a existing list in this contact type. Okay. Now if I choose list existing data, that actually has changed this list. Notice one of the values has actually disappeared. Now what it's doing now is it's actually looking at the database, looking at this field, and then finding all the unique values which have ever been used for this field. Okay, it's finding all the unique values which have been used in this field. Now that can be really handy. We've got some clients who actually have used GoldMine over time where they actually have left the ability for the users to type in what they want, which is great at the time. But now they want to go back and tidy up their database. So how do they tidy up their database? Well, this option is a great option, which was again list existing data, because it will list all the unique values that the users have ever entered. Now this list is probably going to get rather long, but it will allow you to find values like 3 cubed to choose from. So we've actually entered it in now. Let's just go back to contact type and do a search. Select up here 3 cubed, and it would normally bring up greater than. There you go. Begins with Nick Milan from 3 cubes. So it gives you the ability to find, well, that value is not right. Nick Milan, that's actually wrong. It shouldn't be 3 cubed. It should be supplier. Hey presto. So now I've actually updated that list. Now I'm going to click here as well. Notice that the 3 cubed option is gone because that's no longer a value in this field. So it's no longer a unique value, hence it won't display it. What is nice, however, is once we've gone through and tidy up our database, we can go back into setup, untick that, click OK, and it will revert back to our previous list. So we're not wasting our time. We can get back to where we need to be, which is great. What else we've got to set up? Allow adding, allow editing, allow deleting. So if I have these selected, it means that, which is out of the box how it normally comes, means that all users, whether they have master rights or not, are allowed to add new items, edit items, and delete items. So if you want to maintain data accuracy, it's probably a good idea to remove these options. Then you just need to have an internal process about how we go about adding new options or required options to these fields. And that's where your GoldMine champion would be an ideal person who can think about the changes required to make sure that the integrity of what we're using this field for remains sound. So great option. And autofill again helps you automatically, as you type in, it'll automatically fill in the closest match. So they're similar, insert closest match. They are basically similar, but in this instance it's a little bit different. Let me give an example of this from the autofill. Let me just untick that. Now we have autofill, actually no, I have autofill, we actually have list existing data selected on the company field. And you might wonder why we have list existing data, we have all these records in the system here. So why would we do that? Well, a very handy reason might be I might create a new record, come into my company field, as I start to type, it will show me that we already have Tactful solutions in the database. So I therefore know that, oh hang on, maybe I should check to see if this record is already in the database or whether this is another business. So it's a great way of being able to confirm and another way of being able to flag it. So for your end users. So yes, we have our duplicate checking turned on, but it's a nice way of confirming that the value might already be there. Or you might be wanting to create a record, another record for Tactful solutions. So what you could do here is actually type in Tactful solutions, select it, and then be able to enter the rest of the value in as you go through. So add the extra fields as you're walking through it. So that way you confirm that the company name is exactly the same as all the other company names, all the other contacts with the same company. So your Tactful Solutions is going to be consistent all the way through all the contacts that work at Tactful Solutions. A great little tip. Okay. What else do I want to go through today? I want to go through color functions. Now, if you're not using this, you should be. Let's just go to this source field here, and let's just say that this value is blank. Now, if it is, you'll notice the actual field label turns up red. Now, given it's red, it will actually flag that and highlight to the person that this field needs to have a value in it. Okay, same thing if I go down here to the contact type, it will actually come up with a red value. So it's a little bit less in your face, a little bit less restrictive than the mandatory fields that we actually have, but a nice way of being able to simply adjust or choose or highlight to the end user that this field actually should have something in it. Okay, and the other options we want to go through today was the tab order. So how do I fix my tab order? Again, I have to have master rights. So right click, screen design, and here we have our individual fields. Now what you need to do here is double click on company, layout, and ensure the position field actually has values in it. So the company field is typically 0. Let's have a look what the contact value is. Contact field 1. Terrific. Department 2. Terrific. Last name should be 3. Let's have a look. It is terrific, and so forth. So you walk through the fields and set the number to be the sequence that you want to be able to tab through on. Okay, that's actually fairly easy to do. What I would suggest though is as you jump from sort of one section to the next section, I'd leave a gap of some numbers. So let's just say this source field was position 6. If it was me, I'd start the address field at number 10. Or we've got 8 here because you 1 extra. And that's basically because what happens is at some stage you might want to add another field to the section here. And if you add another field and you try and set the tab order and the tab order is exactly the same, it means that you have to go through and adjust every single field to get to the end to make sure the tab order is sound. If you leave a bit of a gap between sections as far as numbers go, it doesn't hurt anything. It just means that if you add a field or two, you have room to actually not have to just adjust the tab order for everything else. Okay, so again, makes life a lot easier. With regards to the colours, I'll just show you the colours. While I'm here, if I double click on source field, in the colour tab, I have the ability to have an expression. And here it's saying that if the length of a trim value of the source field is equal to 0, in other words, the length of the source field is 0, which means it's empty, and insert the colour of 255, and if not, leave it as the default colour. And that's for the label. Notice I also can adjust the data color. And if I wanted to, I can fix it to be a fixed color. Let's just choose lime green, maroon. A bit hard to see, but we'll see how we go. Click OK. And you'll notice that the actual field now is maroon, whereas the source field is still the default value because that field actually has some values in it, or a value in it. Okay. So they're the things I wanted to go through today. I really do appreciate your time. I hope you had a great session. I hope you learnt lots. We'll be covering other items in the future where I'll go through a list of what we'll be going through, calendars, activities, opportunity management, email, dashboards, knowledge base, all sorts of other items and other options in the future. So stay tuned. We look forward to working with you in the future, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.